Innovation and entrepreneurship. This is why a lot of you are here today at CannaCon. All these great companies out there with these products. You might want to start a business, you might have a business or invent a product. This is the green rush. We're creating a $1 trillion industry. It's going to be huge. And you've heard of the dot-com era. This is the dot-bong era, and it's going to blow that away. And it doesn't matter what you want to do. Do you want to grow things? Do you want to sell them? Do you want to make edibles, delivery systems, hemp? There's so many great things. And this is disruptive. We're disrupting the healthcare sector. We're going to disrupt the fuel sector by creating our own fuel and helping the environment. This is a disruptive innovation, cannabis. But what we have to remember, though, because the government is so dead set against us, because of reefer madness, this is a battle. And the first one, like any other battle, the first ones over the hill are the first casualties. And I've seen a lot of companies go out of business in the last 20 years. So if you are going to start a business, you have to make sure you have a good business plan, have enough capital, and you have to understand the barriers that the government is putting in our way. A lot of things to factor into it, but good luck and hope you make a couple billion. We have to look at the public policy and change. This is the biggest thing. Schedule I narcotic is what cannabis is classified as, and that's hurting so many things. It's totally wrong, but it brings up one of the best catch 422s, because our government says there's no research showing cannabis is good. So people say, well, I want to do research. Can I do research? And they say, no, you can't. And they say, why? And they say, because there's no research. So their circular logic is really jerking patients around. Fortunately, there's a lot of research going on in different countries and independent research. And there have been thousands of studies done showing how safe and effective cannabis is. But we have to deschedule cannabis. We have to cut the red tape at the local level. Like in Massachusetts, our politicians are dragging their feet, putting restrictions on dispensaries and recreational stores. We have to cut through that red tape. We have to allow home grow. People have to be able to grow their own medicine. Because, as this happy face guy says, t-shirt says, you can't spell healthcare without THC. We have to understand the political science of this. Why is it that you can go to Holland and walk into any number of coffee shops, sit down in a quiet, peaceful atmosphere, and smoke all the marijuana and hashish that you want? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Whereas some countries like Saudi Arabia and China, they execute drug traffickers. It's insane. And even in America, the drug war is not over. They still confiscate billions of dollars of money and property without due process. They've destroyed our inner cities by disproportionately targeting minorities and the poor in the drug arrests. So it's horrible. And most people, they don't seem to care. It just goes right over them. They couldn't give an aeronautical intercourse. So I want you to care about apathy. And we have to fight locally. We have to deschedule it at the federal level, but there's reefer madness. The stigma is in effect locally. So we have to work with our school boards, the city boards, run for office. Tito Jackson's running for mayor of Boston. He wants to legalize marijuana. Run for office yourself, but we have to fight this at the local level. It's very important. Legal studies. In my heart of heart, I believe that prohibition is unconstitutional. So we need some real sharp legal to write this argument that goes up to the Supreme Court and they read it and go, yeah, you're right. No more prohibition. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. But we need something to do that. Or we need to lobby Congress and work with Congress to make fair laws for hemp, for medical marijuana, and for the recreational sectors. We need to look at the philosophy and theology of cannabis. It's been used by religions over the years. Hindus have used it, Rastafari, and there's even an order of nuns in California who are growing medical marijuana. Now that's what I call a good habit. Boom, boom. But it's really good, sitting around with your friends, passing a joint around. It's like a communal thing. It's like breaking bread. I call it a karmaceutical. It's good for your soul. And some people say smoking marijuana makes you dumb and lazy. Well, next time somebody tells you that, let them know Carl Sagan smoked marijuana, and he's like the smartest person ever. So it does not necessarily make you dumb and lazy. I think you just come that way. So we have to understand women and gender studies. Back during Reefer Madness, they objectified women, said that if you smoke marijuana, all these bad things would happen. But then during the Hemp for Victory campaign, women were working in the mills, the hemp mills, processing hemp fiber. This is in Minnesota. So they actually helped kickstart the women's movement, which is sort of cool. And now we got a lot of strong women in the movement. Grandmas for Ganja, Stiletto Stoners, Women Grow, which is an excellent organization. Canna Moms, they're women that are saying, hey, if I want to smoke a little marijuana after work to relax, that doesn't make me a bad mom, doesn't make me a bad person, so I should be able to do that. And we need to get women incorporated into the cannabis industry to make sure it's because we need everybody in this fight. It's very important. We have to understand the music and theater, how cannabis has influenced all the entertainment industry. Everybody's familiar with Bob Marley and Willie Nelson and how important cannabis is to them. But Louis Armstrong, some people might not realize he was into his reefer big time. And now you see so many more references to cannabis in the theaters and movies. There's even entire shows related to marijuana. And there's a musical, a hemp musical, if anybody wants to put on it. The Caitlin County Hemp Wars. It's a couple in Cambridge. They wrote this. It's a great story about a family trying to save their farm by growing hemp. So if you want to put that on, let me know and I'll hook you up with them. Do we have any artists in the crowd today? We need people to draw about cannabis. Editorial cartoonists, you can get a very strong message across with one picture. Or if you're a graphic artist, create a superhero, cannabis superhero, running around fighting prohibition, planting hemp everywhere. That would be awesome. And this is a picture of myself and my wife and our cats that a friend of mine drew. So, we need to spread the word, let people know about that. Because it's all related to sociology. Is it going to be like a watershed event or a tipping point where all of a sudden society has its aha moment and just says, whoa, what were we thinking? Prohibition was wrong. Or is it going to be like a billion baby steps where we incrementally move forward towards social justice and freedom? And that's probably the way it's going to be. And that's why CannaCon is a baby step forward. You guys coming to this talk today is a big baby step, so thank you very much. 8 states have legalized marijuana. That's a huge baby step. We're getting there. More than 40 states have some type of medicinal cannabis law. So we're getting there incrementally. But the problem is, another catch 422, every state has to write their own regulations because of the federal prohibition. So we have to reinvent the wheel in every state, and it's very difficult. But we have to learn from different states, learn from their successes and their failures. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. A lot of people come into this and just think, oh yeah, it's going to be, we legalized it, my job's done. No, our job is just beginning. So there's going to be so many more things to do over the years. Every little bit helps though, and everything is a baby step. This brings up my cannabis conundrum. Why can't we all just get a bong? The problem, we have all these groups that want to go in different ways, like farmers are very conservative, so they just want to grow hemp. They don't want to legalize it. Patients, they want their medicine. And then even within the activist community, we have a lot of infighting between groups, within groups, and the whole coat and tie versus the tie-dye. The sort of the long hair hippies of the 60s, they started this movement. They really were there, but now we get these real conservative, coat and tie types that don't necessarily appreciate that. So we cannot throw the hippie out with the bong water. We have to all work together. There is no such thing as a perfect law. We have people that want the perfect law, and they vote against cannabis measures, even though it's legalizing it. So we have to make sure the perfect is not the enemy of the good. And how do we do this? Through communication and journalism. We open the debate. We call in to talk radio. We write letters to the editor. We identify yellow journalism like the Boston Globe. We have the Freedom Fest on the Boston Common every September, 30 to 40,000 people for 2 days, peacefully sitting there, civil disobedience, smoking marijuana. Not a peep in the Globe. They don't write a word for that. It's just like, that's yellow journalism. It's just very subtle. So we have to call that out. We have to come out of the cannabis closet. I see a lot of parallels to the LGBT movement, where once they started coming out of the closet and being proud, loud and proud, they made a lot more progress. So we have to do that also. And the answer to the questions, why are they still arresting 600,000 Americans every year for possessing marijuana? Why can't patients get access to a safe, effective, and inexpensive medicine? And why can't farmers grow an environmentally friendly and multifaceted crop? The answer is, it's the prohibition, stupid. Prohibition is the key concept that we have to get home. Prohibition is what we have to end. And hemp is the answer. But what was the question? I don't know. But thanks for your time. And now we will take questions.